The 4-year cycle of Bitcoin has finished already. Do you think Bitcoin has topped already? Because the 4-year cycle came in on October the 6th, right? And Bitcoin topped exactly on that day. It couldn't be any more accurate. October the 6th, and that was Bitcoin at what, 126K? That was the exact top. And October 6th was the day predicted by the 4-year cycle, right? If you don't believe me, here's a video that I made earlier. Listen. Now, Bitcoin has topped today, this week. Major warning right now, October 6th, this on the Monday, Bitcoin. Okay, that was the video, as you all know, I made. So today we're going to talk about, has Bitcoin topped with the 4-year cycle? So far, the 4-year cycle has worked every time. And you look at this. This is basically made 1 month ago on October. It came out on YouTube on October 7th, but it was in my Discord on October 6th. I said it topped, if we believe in the 4-year cycle. And what's the chart we're looking at? The chart we're looking at is this one. So basically, it showed that this is 2017 bull run, December 2017, 35 month, it tops 2021 bull run, right? 35 bars, these are monthly bars, right? It tops, and here is another 35 bars. So 4 years and it tops 35 month. Basically 165 days, 166 days, because this is a leap year, 165 days exactly, right? So that predicted, gave us October the 6th this year. And so far, what I said, to be honest, what I said as you watched the video at the time was that I thought Bitcoin has only 20% chance that has topped, 80% chance it could go up for another leg. And last few weeks, I've adjusted my odds a little bit. I still think we're going up, but probably like 70% chance we have another leg up, 30% chance we have topped, right? Which is not like a lot of trolls and idiots say, oh, he says up or down. 70 versus 30, right? 80 versus 20. That's a very clear call, right? Because nothing in this market is 100%. How do we know Trump doesn't wake up tomorrow and make a crazy tweet, right? So basically, that's I'm going to show you guys one chart that kind of shows what if the 4-year cycle has not ended? What if the 4-year cycle doesn't quite apply anymore? For example, this is the Bitcoin monthly average performance, right? So we break it down in year, but this is January, February, March, April, all the way to December, and we can see that each time we've color coded the month. This is the average performance of the entire history of Bitcoin, is this red bar, right? The first bar is the average, right? This orange one is 2015 to 2024. This is 2020 to 2024, the last 4 years. This is 2023 and 2024, and on average. And this black dot, or black bar, is going to be this year. We can see that so far, this year is almost unlike any other year. In January, I would say it's probably about the closest it came into looking like the other years, right? They're all in this 10 to 5% area. In February, basically, in all other times, Bitcoin outperformed and we dumped hard. That was the biggest dump in of all year, 2025. March, in every year, Bitcoin went up, right? Like 5 to 10%, we dumped that month. In this month, basically, if we compare to any time between 2015, we way outperformed that year, right? Like 13% compared to like 3%, 4% or something, because Trump ended his. This was all because of the Trump tariff thing, right? Trump basically started the tariff thing, and then we crashed, and then we bounced up on March the 4th, April the 4th. This is May, as we can see, all time. May is a big month for Bitcoin, and we kind of underperformed that month. June, a big month for Bitcoin, and we kind of underperformed. Now, July is a bad month. Like nothing happens in July except it goes sideways, like 4 or 5%, and Bitcoin shot up to 9%. That's big when you think that Bitcoin is a $2.5 trillion asset right now, whereas before it was like It was like a tiny asset, right? In this month, obviously, Bitcoin performed nothing like before. Again, this month, September, every time everything's down, Bitcoin's up. October. Everyone's saying October, everything's going to be up, Bitcoin's down. Up November, everyone's saying, November just started, and so far we're down. So what does all this mean for the 4-year cycle, and is the 4-year cycle going to continue or not? Before I answer those questions, first let's answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo use? Well, Pablo uses this exchange that's non-KYC. That means you don't need to show any ID. So then that means even the exchange can't see who you are, right? So that means the exchange can't see you, the IRS can't see you, the tax office can't see you, FBI, CIA, nobody can see you, total privacy, and win up to $40,000 in prize pools, right? Just by being in the top 20 of exclusive on the Pablo competition. It's not an exchange-wide competition, only on the Pablo link. Only on the Pablo competition, just by being the top 20, you get to win a prize. Being the top 10, right, you win a prize for P&L contest, top 20 in trading volume. But remember, folks, this is limited time only. This offer finishes 20th of November. Okay, so if you're watching this on YouTube right now, then the link is in the description below. But if you're watching on any other platform, such as this one, that's okay. Just go and click on my profile page, and there's my link tree or stand link. We click on that, and it's the first deal that pops up because it's a great deal. Okay, let's get back to the markets, folks. But just remember that great deal is only available on the Pablo Heman link. Only on the Pablo link. Okay, let's go. So we're looking at this chart. So basically, November has not ended, but so far we're not performing like anybody else. What am I trying to say with this chart? What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that basically the situation we're in right now shows that I'm leaning towards 80% chance or 70% chance that more than likely the 4-year cycle does not apply to this time around. And we go down and we go, 98K was probably the bottom. Outside chance, 92K would be the bottom, and we'll have one more leg up. Now, first of all, the 4-year cycle, it has only happened once, twice, and maybe you can count the 2013 top as 3 times. 3 times. It's only happened 3 times, right? And you say, oh, but that's all in all of Bitcoin's history. But yet you only have 3 data points. That's not a lot to compare. Second of all, the 4-year cycle used to work really well because you have the halving every 4 years, and then the miners would only be able to mine even less Bitcoins, and so therefore they need to increase their productivity. They need to buy better ASIC machines to mine, and then when they buy those ASIC machines, they buy it on loan. They then need to pay it off. How do they pay it off? The miners, Bitcoin miners, they sell Bitcoins to pay it off. So you have that cycle. Whereas now, basically, Bitcoin's $2.5 trillion asset. The halving is having a lesser impact on Bitcoin right now. It's I think 20 million Bitcoin has already been mined. Like there's less than 1 million Bitcoins to be mined from now for the next 100-something years. So it's having lesser and lesser of an impact, and basically, as we just saw in that chart, in this chart, basically Bitcoin 2025 is behaving nothing like the previous years. It's not fitting into any of the patterns at all. So therefore, I think it's showing us that the old patterns are breaking. The old patterns don't quite apply anymore. I think in 5 to 10 years from now, the 4-year cycle will be completely gone. No one will be talking about the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin 5 to 10 years from now, because by then mining and Bitcoin miners and they're dumping and they're selling Bitcoin to pay for their electricity upgrade, their equipment upgrade will not be a factor much anymore. Right now, we're probably in the last cycle where a 4-year cycle and the Bitcoin miners have some sort of effect. So they have some sort of effect, but it's not going to be defining. I don't think they can define where Bitcoin tops again. And what would be a more useful cycle to look at, for example, for the next few months? Why do you think we're going up, Pablo? So one thing we could look at is this chart, and that is more realistic rather than believing in a miracle 4-year chart ordained by God, right? So this is a more realistic. This is a business cycle chart of the Fed. This is basically Fed securities assets, where how much Fed is doing QT or QE, the business cycle or the Fed liquidity cycle, which is what Bitcoin responds to. M2, right? Money supply in the markets, in the world. And by the way, we're going to look at ZEC, Zcash, the crazy ZEC coin, CIA backed coin later in the video. If you haven't watched an episode I made about 3-4 days ago, I fully explain why ZEC is fully backed by the CIA with full evidence, right? Undeniable evidence. Anyways, let's have a look at the rather than the 4-year cycle, let's have a look at the business cycle. So the red line is basically how much QE or QT the Fed is doing. Say this is QE1, and it's marked out in this green zone, but it's the red tells you how much they're buying. This red green shows you the time, right? From here to here. QE1, they stopped, went flat. QE2, they stopped, went flat. QE3, they started going again and then went flat, right? QT, the first time they did QT, and then second time they did QE, right? This was obviously COVID, and then this is the third time, this is the second time they did QT, which is last 3 years. They're stopping on December the 1st. We know that for sure. And then they're going to go into this brown zone called repo. What is repo? So repo, as we can see, is between the time of what they do between QT and between QE, right? So look, I don't want to confuse you guys. I'm going to use really, really simple language to describe what QT repo and QT is. So basically, imagine a swimming pool. You have a swimming pool in the back of your house, right? And you have basically the more water you put into the swimming pool, the more liquidity there is. The more liquidity, the more Bitcoin goes up. We already know that. So how much? The Fed is like the owner of the house, right? And he or she decides to turn on the water tap. Right, turn on the water tap, right, water goes up, liquidity goes up, water goes up, right, he stops, right, water goes flat, he starts again, water goes up, right, water level goes up in the pool, Bitcoin rises, right? So then he says, oh, there's too much, right, economy is doing pretty well right now, we have to rewind this. He goes into QT, he unplugs the sinkhole, and drains the level of water in the swimming pool, right? Liquidity goes down. Bitcoin doesn't perform well. Bitcoin had its bear market in 2018, 2019. He says QT is going to end. That's when Bitcoin bounces, right? So basically, he's not going to drain water out anymore. And then this is the key. This is the key part we're trying to understand here, because we are about to head into a period of repo now. We're about to end QT2 on December the 1st, right, in 3 weeks from now, and we're going to go into this brown called repo period. So QE is putting water into the swimming pool. QT is letting water out of the swimming pool, draining the swimming pool, right? That means Bitcoin goes down. That means Bitcoin goes parabolic. Crypto, meme coins, everything goes parabolic. So what's in between here? This in between here is when the Fed is not doing QE. It's like, imagine if the parent, mom or dad of the house, is not turning on the tap to fill up the swimming pool, right? Which is like here, right? They've stopped. And then they drain some water out of the swimming pool. And they have not started to turn on the swimming pool yet, right? So this is Saturday, Sunday, the weekend. They turn on the water because relatives are coming, friends are coming for a swim. This is when they drain the swimming pool on Thursday. But what happens the day in between on Friday, right? There's water goes up a little bit. They call that repo operations, right? Which is what we're potentially about to get. And that's when see the child of the family, boy or girl, basically just decides to turn on a garden hose and spray the garden hose into the swimming pool, right? So we can see it goes up, it's going to fill up very slowly. But it's only one day later, on Saturday noon, when the friends and relatives are coming and parents decide to turn on the full water tap, boom, we go like this. And this was 2022, obviously, and 2021. And this was COVID, obviously. And then, Bitcoin went from 3K to like 69K in 15 months or so. And that's when obviously things went parabolic. And now this was the bear market, and Bitcoin surprisingly has had a bull market since 2022. So which has been quite amazing. But they're going to turn this off now, and we're going to start to go up a little bit again, right? This is the repo period, right? And it's not full QE just yet. So I'm going to show you guys. What this actually means. Last time this happened, let me just overlay the Bitcoin. This is, by the way, the Fed, the chart I just showed you guys, the Fed asset balance sheet. When they pumped water into the pool, when stopped, right, took water out of the pool, and this is repo, went up a little bit, liquidity went up a little bit, and then COVID hits, full pump, and now we've been draining the pool, we stop, and then repo, and then we go up a little bit, right? So let me just overlay Bitcoin over this. Okay, so as we can see, the orange is obviously the Bitcoin chart. Green is actually SP 500 representing the stock market, and we can see that the blue is how much the Fed is actually, doing QE or putting liquidity into the markets. So as we can see here, we'll just focus on this period, right? When the Fed started, to do QT, they've been going flat, then they do QT, they say we're going to take water out of the markets, boom, Bitcoin crashed, right? But Bitcoin predicted the Fed is going to start QE sometime soon. So here, QE starts September 2019, and Bitcoin bottoms, I would say around March 2019, 6 months ahead, and then they pump. They go up. By August, right, sell on news. Buy on rumor, right, sell on news. They've been expecting QE to start again. And in a way, this is kind of QE, but it's not. Okay, the technical definition, why do they call it repo? The technical definition of real QE is when the Federal Reserve buys long end, or what they call duration, long end bonds, like 10-year, 20-year, 30-year US Treasury bonds. When they do repos, it's kind of like what they're doing last Friday or, last Thursday, when they actually just take some overnight or even 14-day, 2-week collateral or Treasury bonds, Treasury bills, MBS from the banks, and they lend the banks money. They give the banks money that way. They're buying Treasury bonds, Treasury bills, they're buying MBS bonds, but it's only for one night, overnight, which is quite why it's called overnight, right? They have to return it, the money 24 hours later, or at most 2 weeks, right? Those are the two tools they're using. They're not buying it for like 3 years, 5 years, and then selling it 3 years, 5 years later. And sometimes they never sell it, right? That's why this blue chart keeps on going up. That means it's things they bought before, they never sold. They have never sold it. When it goes down, that means they're slowly selling like 5%, 10% of it. That's why this period, see this key period here, because that's what we're coming up right now, is called repo. That's called a repo period, right? Where the Fed is doing what I just described to you guys and not quite buying, bonds outright. So during that period, we can see stock market. Let me just put it up. During this period, stock market actually went up, right? But Bitcoin went down and then bounced up, right? And then COVID crash caused everything to crash. But we're not expecting COVID this time. So this time, again, we're going to get this repo situation, right? In that case, I would definitely still expect stock market to trend up, right? But would Bitcoin trend down again? And sometimes people might say, well, Pablo, you only have one data point. The people who are saying next 6 months Bitcoin should trend down to like 80K, 60K is because they're only looking at one data point, because we've only seen this happen once in history, and that was for 6 months between end of 2019 to start of 2020. The judge is still out. Would you still be more optimistic that real QE is going to come and then basically everything's going to take off. Let me know what you think is going to happen next few months. Look forward to hearing it in the comments.